Turn it over to MP Williams for 5 minutes, 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And we're here today because Canadians, although we're hearing some different stats today, they're telling us different stats. They're telling us that they're paying still some of the highest cell phone prices in the world. After 8 years under this Liberal government, we've had the cost of almost everything go up, and that's been already mentioned by our witnesses. When we look at grocery prices, we looked at just at the Toronto Daily Food Bank, there was 300,000 people visiting that food bank, bank fees, and cell phones. And cell phones are not a luxury anymore. Cell phones are essential. When we look at some of the facts, as cars are being stolen up 300% in Toronto alone, people use cell phones now to put Apple AirTags in their cars to track where their cars are going. They have doorbell cams where they're looking to make sure there isn't home invasions. People are using them to find coupons to go to the grocery store. Cell phones aren't a luxury, they're essential. And what happens when Canadians use more and more cell phones? They're using more data. When we look at the facts, Canadians need an average, by 2026, they're going to need about 50 gigabytes a month just to use the essentials on their cell phone. And we're not even talking about social media and others. So when we look at other countries, and we do compare prices to other countries, we do, and we have found there's more competition in the US, there's more competition in Australia. And what happens is that prices have gone down. We heard from the other day, Mr. Staferi, from Mr. Hartling, that the prices in Rogers were lower than that of the US and that of Australia. Do you stand by that statement at this point?
Thank you for the question, member of the committee. It's important we be clear on the facts. And the facts are twofold. One, prices are coming down in Canada by the government's own measure, Stats Canada. As I said in my opening comments, it's down 16% in the last year.
Sorry, only so many limit time here. I asked you a direct question. Are prices in Canada lower than the US and Australia, as Mr. Hartling stated the other day? Yes or no?
When you look at our price plans here in Canada, they are lower. Undeniably, that's what the facts say, relative to the U.S. I encourage you to look at information that Rogers submitted to this committee.
And Mr. Staferi, thank you so much. I'm going to compare some prices. We had Fido, and Fido is owned by Rogers. It's your lowest price plan. We look for Canadians struggling to survive. They're looking at the lowest price for the most amount of data. And we look at Fido, which is about $34 a month. We compare that to the Americans. They have Mint Mobile, and the Australians have a great one called Moose. They're both lower than that price, but more importantly, I think that Canadians need to know they both offer a 5G plan. When we talk about Canada, I know Rogers, TELUS, and Bell all talk about the fact that we have 5G almost everywhere across Canada. We're one of the most built-up networks, but Fido is only offered on 4G. So when we look at comparisons, I think if we had competition in Canada, Mint Mobile in the U.S., lower prices on 5G networks. We have Australia, several MVNOs on 5G networks at lower prices. Why is Fido, in your mind, do we have enough competition? And if we had competition, would Fido be in 5G?
This country has very robust and healthy competition. Consumers have choice. If you're to look at last year alone, 4.9 million Canadians switched their provider. If you're to look at Rogers itself, 20% of our customers switched plans. There is choice for Canadians, and there's very robust competition in the marketplace. As you look to our prices relative to the U.S., you use the example of Fido at $34. We have other plans on our Chatter brand that's as low as $19. And when you look at our price points relative to having the best networks in the world, certainly the value for money ranks at or near the top and definitely higher than the U.S.
Well, Mr. Staferi, I've just listed some competitors in the U.S. or Australia who all offer those price points at 5G. You're offering that at 4G. And we look at comparators across the U.S. or Australia, you know, 3G is being even outdated. It's being taken off the networks in the U.S. because there's more competition. To go back to why we're here, you said you were going to increase your prices by $9. I'd like to go to both Bell and TELUS. Are you going to follow suit and increase your prices up to $9 for cell phone plans?
Who was that directed to?
To both of you, sir, Mr. Bibick and Mr. Entwistle.
Look, our focus, well, I'll start first, I guess. Our focus is on lowering prices for Canadians and delivering the very best services to as many Canadians as possible. I followed very closely your exchange with Mr. Steferi, and just to compare price, Virgin is a Bell brand, Virgin Plus. We offer it on the 5G brand, and our prices are undeniably lower than
Thank you, sir, and I appreciate that. I asked you a direct question, though. Are you going to be increasing your prices following Rogers and increase those prices by up to $9? Yes or no?
Thank you very much for the question. Our focus is on lowering prices, and that's why our 50 gig plan, which is the one you referred to in your exchange with Mr. Steferi, is available at $34 on the Virgin Plus brand, which is on a 5G network, lower than in the US, UK, Australia, and France.
Thank you, Thank you. That did not answer my question. Mr. Entwistle, could you answer that question, yes or no? Are you going to be increasing prices up to $9 a month?
You're on mute, Mr. Entwistle.
We've done over 400 price changes over the last 12 months. 90% of those price changes were price decreases. Only 10% were price increases. Number two, I'm not going to talk about price setting in a forum with my two competitors sitting right here. And to answer your question directly, I'm highly confident that the average price per gigabit is going to decline prospectively for the benefit of Canadians.